Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is 10:30 my time here local. I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota. This is a Saturday late night broadcast. Of course, we have had quite a dramatic week, especially those of us who are paying attention to politics in Liberia. This telecast is exclusively on Liberia, so in case you tumble across it, it's no other issue but Liberian political issues. I want to thank you for joining me. And, let's keep it going. If you express any intent of coming on the telecast, regardless how, if you want to come in by video or you want to look up there's the numbers, scrolling across the screen. Two numbers to specific contact. One is 612-416-9205. And then the second is the 763-447-1063 number. Either of those numbers will bring you into our studio view audio. You want to come in by video, just let me know. I will post the link as well. And I will let you have a video chat with the audience, okay? And again, this is Colonel Gray. I would like to welcome you, and I'm happy to be your host for the night. And this broadcast can go up to as long as I want to be here. Maximum, I think, 8 hours. I don't intend to do 8 hours. That would be more than a marathon. What I intend to do is just to discuss briefly about certain issues surrounding politics in Liberia. Okay, if you hang around with me, I will go ahead and share the video and come back for us to have sort of like just an open discussion. Okay, I don't have a guest. By the way, I intend to bring in Manny Pacquiao Dumoy, and the gentleman over at is a gentleman from Bon County, but is thrusted into a political dispensation. So, if you remember, Manny Pacquiao Dumoy recently ran for the Senate through Bon County, and he was one of many candidates. I think one Prince Moy won that race. Nonetheless, Manny Pacquiao Dumoy continues to be a part of our political dispensation. From what I understand, he should be a member of the Liberty Party, supporting Alexandra Cummings. If he has switched side in recent times, I'm not aware of that, but nonetheless, let us hope to see him tomorrow. Just run around 6 Central, local time here in Minneapolis. That's Central, 6 o'clock, I think. The flyer is up there. And we are going to be bringing a host of other individuals who are also key players in our political dispensation. So, like I said, hang in there with me. Let me share this video. I would like it to be interactive because my intention here is to discuss mostly the CPP and what's obtaining in there. I like the spirit existing in the CPP. People are pushing others to actually, become more democratic. Folks are used to just, going and having their cake in a silver platter handed to them. And then they walk away thinking that they have the base, they have numbers, you hear all of this kind of bragging rights. Individuals are talking about, I got the base, I got number. Well, if you have either of those two variables in politics, you should be electable. But we, on the other side, are arguing that either of those variables, you understand, is perishable. Number, base, they switch, they shift from time to time because people go after their own personal interest. So therefore, you don't expect people to stay with you throughout their own endeavor, not because they too are not in politics. Well, let me share this video, okay? Hang it. All right, so I think I have to some extent shared this video laudably on Facebook. So I do apologize for that feedback. Yes, as I was saying, we are paying keen attention to the outcome of the CPP, the collaborating political parties, four of them in locked in a collaboration. Even though it's a collaboration with representation of individual political organizations, these guys have rules, governing them. And for the benefit of those who are not aware, um, either of those parties may not run individually the way they're set up right now. So it's not a coalition per se, but it's a collaboration. But even at that, they're locked into that collaboration, and they're not recognized individually in the confluence or the eyes of National Elections Commission. So these individuals or these political organizations, four of them, enter a collaboration somewhere around 2019 or so, and they came up with a number of bylaws and rules, regulation that they coined or they termed framework. When you have a framework, it simply means that you have a binding agreement that we all should be abiding by if we are part of this collaboration. The CPP itself has been, the witness of a number of irregularities, undemocratic tendencies. People coming in trying to bring in, bending the rule because individuals believe that all but one individual, stands a better chance of winning, of facing George Weah. So all the machination and movement and kneeling and dealing, willing and dealing, have been geared towards a certain individual within the collaboration. But there are other individuals who say no. Politics cannot be as usual and we expect different result. We can't continue to just look at one individual and say, yes, this person has the capacity to go and face an incumbent, and then give them, you know, opportunity to do so on a white ballot basis. Others are saying no. And this is where I pick up my spirit that the elections or politics in Liberia is changing face, is changing dramatically. Even though some folks believe that, hey, this is painstaking because we cannot continue to make each other to feel bad. We quote unquote are locked up in a collaboration. Why would you want to go at each other? Why the pushing and pulling? Why the forcing? And the incumbent is gaining the upper hand because we're fighting among ourselves. These are all the fittest tendencies. These are all the fittest actions and motions. And say if you are in a democracy, regardless, you should be more than happy or willing, so to speak, to face whoever is, becomes somehow a competition. Take, for instance, the Unity Party, um, having been cornered legally. Sometimes I wonder if these political organizations that have been around for so long really have idealists, people who can sit down and cipher, whether legally or just common sensually. Somebody will come and say, hey, this is a framework that came into being, the CPP framework came into being after the 2017 general elections. Now, if the CPP came into being after the 2017 general elections, by virtue of that, anything that occur should be within that time frame, either when the CPP was formed or going forward. Now, one of the coldest argument raised by the Unity Party was that the CPP, that their standard bearer, which is Ambassador Joseph Boakai, was elected to be standard bearer for a 6-year term. I think people are aware that majority of these kinds of machinations wouldn't work, especially if you have other folks who also have legal mind, prudential mind, just have common sense, so to speak. It's not going to work with them. So they came into this collaboration raising the point that Ambassador Joseph Boakai was already elected within his political party as standard bearer. So therefore, he does not need to go to another primary. Everything they're doing is like they're trying to excuse Ambassador Boakai from any competitive process. Any competitive process. Can you imagine? You have someone who's going to face an incumbent president where that is so popular, and this individual, you cannot even test him in smaller polls. Smaller polls meaning within the party level and going into the CPP and going forward. You're not even doing that. But at the same time, you expect that this individual will go and face Hercules, quote unquote, George Weah, who still enjoys some level of popularity. Okay? Now, if you cannot put your subject, your so-called, popular man who's electable within a small base of electorates, why are you even thinking of bringing him to a bigger stage? So, in other words, few folks gathered around Ambassador Boakai's home and said, they endorse him, or they reaffirm his standard bearership within his political party. Hence, that is the that is the convention process for an entire democratic um, unity party that has been in existence since 1985. Can you imagine? Almost 40 years this organization has been in in existence. They have their own bylaws and they cannot even abide by it, that their CPP calls for a convention post 2017. So anything before 2017 cannot be held as a process in 20 I mean in the CPP. The CPP, the framework calls for you having convention, and out of that convention you can present whoever emerges as winner within your political party. That is who you can field if they have intention to run for CPP, nomination process of who becomes the standard bearer for CPP. Like I said, these four political parties are locked um, in this collaboration. Individually, National Elections Commission does not recognize either of them as individual political parties because they have submitted a joint agreement under the CPP, with which they are recognized under one identity, and that identity is CPP. Okay, so I think, for instance, unless that agreement is broken, and the NEC acquiesce. In other words, the NEC agrees that there's a this collaboration has gone apart. So therefore, individual representation, party representation of the four parties will be can be individually accepted or recognized. But until then, nobody can come up and go into any ballot and say I'm running on the Unity Party, I'm running on ANC, I'm running on ALP, and hence Liberty Party. Okay, because of that, these people are compelled to foster this collaboration. This collaboration is not one of those things that you can just say, "Well, I don't agree, so I'm walking away." No, as long as you are in the collaboration, you're locked in. You're locked in this collaboration until such time when they shall have gone apart. So we went to work. They came up with something called the framework. The framework is what supersedes our individual political party bylaws or constitution. Everything falls subservient to the bylaws of or the CPP framework. And then the CPP framework, which encompasses four political parties, falls subservient to national elections laws or the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia. Now, the Republic of Liberia calls for one man, one vote in any elections, balloting by secret. In other words, you have your liberty to keep or expose who you vote for, right? You are at liberty to do that, but it calls for secret balloting. In other words, you go and vote, your conscience, nobody should know. It's left with you and your conscience. Now, individuals who have no clue, it's so pitiful, it's so sorrowful that people have been around for long, perambulating themselves as politicians and don't even know the rules. They don't even know our constitution, our laws governing us as a people. You went to work, you submitted a framework that spells out processes that governs a collaboration of four parties. And then now you want to come back and withdraw that party. And firstly, um, power to change anything within the framework or bylaws of the collaboration CPP. You understand? That ability to do so is tasked to a supreme body. Okay, the four political leaders are just um, head of their own various political parties. But when it comes to you know, when it comes to rearranging the laws, when it comes to reviewing the laws or making changes to the document, it's not the full political leaders who, it's not their responsibility. Go back and read the national, I mean the framework, the agreement. Okay, go back and read, for God's sake. But for political parties, their heads decide, because the agreement calls for, bilateral discussion among them. It's for social cohesion, so that if the four of us meet regularly, we discuss. At least we're solidifying the fact that we're all on the same team. Okay, and so they had met because somebody had expressed concern. When people come together in these kinds of atmosphere, they believe that they should outperform the other. We call that gamesmanship. This four collaborating party came together because they sense that unless we join hands, we cannot really defeat the incumbent. Furthermore, the Republic of Liberia is sinking. So let us come together hastily in the love for country to rescue our nation from the hands of whoever has it right now. In this case, President Weir and his CDC. Okay? Let us see if we can come together, put our political differences aside, in the love for country. Let us see if we can form this collaboration and face this guy as one unit. Well, within those kinds of brotherly or sisterly agreement, people have their own selfish ambition, their individual selfish ambition. We call that aggrandizement within politics. You have your own personal agenda that you hope to see come out of this, but you won't outperform through something called gamesmanship the rest of the folks within this collaboration. So let us make it clear that when you decided to come, the intent of coming together was to defeat an incumbent whom you believe, you understand, is taking the country in the wrong direction. But some went there actually with the hope that making one individual, in this case Joseph Buckeye, as the standard bearer to face George Weah, people had that selfish ambition. They didn't reveal it. It was seen like a community of equals, where four people meet together, and then eventually, um, you know, their organization will determine who becomes the leader to face the incumbent. Okay, now within that, some folks, people should have the ambition, personal interest, and within that, some folks now want to make it like a royal right, a divine right. A royal right is one granted by a king or monarchy. The King of England, Queen of England can designate their son, their child, whoever, their nephew, to become the next heir apparent. An heir apparent or heir apparent, HEIR, parent, is the next leader that succeeds whoever is in power now as the king or queen. Some folks feel they believe that they have the royal right to be able and to demand, not even through any democratic means, to demand. That's the gamesmanship that I spoke with earlier. So if you have individuals who come into a collaboration under the theme of defeating the current incumbent, but in that, some people still want to foster by force their own political agenda, one has to be extremely careful that this is not a collaboration to make one person president. Everything there is done democratically. We made rules or bylaws or framework, whatever you want to call it. Let us abide by those rules because we are setting brighter example that ours, when actually reverted to us from the incumbent, when it comes back from the incumbent and we get it, we will abide by laws because we want to make Liberia a lawful nation. The thing is, this agenda, this drive to making one individual the leader of the CPP that will face George Weah is actually driving some people really nuts because they did not anticipate that there would be a competition. As far as they knew, we could nuzzle our way through. Let's just use certain people, those who probably have the ability to um, to provide and sustain the collaboration would do so. But in the event, meanwhile, we will field in Ambassador Joseph Barker as the leader of the CPP. That is the intention. Some people, well, maybe I can imagine people met, in separate, in enclosement and came up with some of these kinds of expectations for themselves. They believe that the other guys or others are naive to the extent where they'll be able to outperform them through what I refer to as gamesmanship. Okay? Now, firstly, when the CPP came into being, because there are 4 political parties within the collaboration itself, if they went to register that intent with the National Elections Commission, each of the political parties within the CPP has to come out with $10,000. So if there are 4 political parties, we're talking about $40,000 will be the registration fee for that collaboration. That's NEC rule. If there were 2 political parties within that collaboration, it would be $20,000. The first thing, the rest of the 3 political parties at the time, Unity Party, Alternative, not Alternative, ALP, All Liberian Party, and the Liberty Party did not have the initial $10,000 each, amounting to $30,000. ANC was ready from day one to put in their own $10,000. So because there was this desire to register this collaboration, ANC leader or ANC decides to pre-finance the process. $40,000 the ANC paid. Okay? Now, you would expect that later on, the other 3 political parties will make good that simple promise. People started reneging, started dancing, here and there, until the advent of one guy named Musa Belite taking over the leadership of his party, Liberty Party. That was when Liberty Party made her commitment finite. Okay? The other 2 are still dilly-dallying. Meanwhile, if you go back to the framework of the collaborating political parties, their bylaws, it requires them to pay dues. We all form part of many organizations. We sustain those organizations by paying our dues. If we don't pay our dues, the organization perishes. Okay? Now, religiously, the Alternative National Congress were making those dues. Unity Party, ALP were not paying, not a single penny. Also, in our same boat was Liberty Party, not till the advent of Musa Bellotti. He came in and cleared all the arrears of Liberty Party, thus leaving two political parties, Unity Party and ALP, in arrears, fully in arrears of the registration fee and the membership dues on a daily on a monthly basis. Okay, those people have not paid a single penny, but I think $2,000 that was paid because that was required to register at some point. Because the reason they levy dues against each political organization was to take care of registration of candidates, to do this, all kinds of things involved. Because Benona Ure wanted his daughter to run, Celia Ure, there was some payment that was made to cover the registration of Celia Ure. It was the only time ALP paid a single penny. I think it was in the tone of $2,000. Okay, since then, all of this fiasco and stuff. Now, the bylaws of the collaborating party, the framework, so-called framework, emphasize the need to pay dues, or else. You know what comes when you don't pay your rent? You know what comes when you don't pay your car note? You know what comes when you don't pay your mortgage? You lose your right to ownership. Clear. You lose your right to ownership. Okay? Now, all this noise people are making about the Unity Party has the number, this one has this, and all that, they cannot match all that, all those, bias and fuss, all those ego. You can't match it with money. None. This is how I see them to be extremely irresponsible. Because I tell you what, if people cannot take care of their own obligation, Melvin, let me see what he asked. Melvin, I am on live. You want to tune in there? I'll be there. Okay. All right. All right. So, let me apologize. I had a call coming through from overseas. Okay. So, as I was saying, that all this noise people are making about thinking that they own the land, they have the numbers, they have the base, so-called base. These individuals have not demonstrated any level of responsibility. It's like you got your home and you don't take care of your home. If a man enters and begin to take care of your home for you, definitely you know what will happen. This is what happened. So they have pushed one person to the limit. Only time. This is the kind of Liberia that we know. This is the kind of Liberia that most of us have come to know over the years, that people will ride on the backs of others to make good their own intention. That's why selfishness in Liberia is so endemic. It's like it's a normal thing. I mean, can you imagine? In all fairness, four of you enter into a collaboration, You decided that monthly will be paying dues, and not a single penny you've paid, but you think that you own the CPP, despite the framework calling for expulsion of those who refuse to pay the dues. It's commonplace. Liberia was delinquent with the dues in the AU, the African Union. Liberia lost every right. Only right she had was observer right. You can be there, you can vote, you cannot take part in any decision, not even the debate. Because the CPP has been in existence for, I think, for the last 3 years, since 2018 or so. Imagine you have been delinquent every year, so it's a normal thing to them. Even those who claim to have money, like the Benin IUAs and others, they have not, because for them it's normal. And this is the problem we have in our country called Liberia. Because certain people feel that they must never give back to the state. They can only take or draw from the state. They can never give. That's not part of their own, flesh and bone. That's not even their psychic. They should never give. So they enter into this collaboration. Imagine a man like Joseph Boakai who has not paid a dime to the collaborating effort, despite the fact that they have financial obligations. There are folks who are running around here making noise about they got numbers. They have not been able to contribute a single penny because the intent was to use one person, in this case, Alexander Cummins, use his finance, his wealth, you understand, to ride on his back and re-enter power. So for me, for some of us, this is so despicable to the point where I hear others making noise. They have the largest talk show. Well, go and raise money. For God's sake, use some money, because some people only know how to take money from people. That's why some folks are considered extortionists, because the only thing they know is to extort money from others. Even in a binding gentlemanly agreement, you cannot meet your obligation. God bless. Liberty Party was rescued by a guy named Hassan Musa Belete. And these are people who understand what it takes to run organization financially. Running organization is not only by mouth. All of this, this limping folks you see passing around here talking about JNB strong, DNB strong. 5 cents they don't have in the process. Not a single penny they've contributed. And now, what happened to them? It has come to the point where they believe now that even though they're not meeting their financial obligation, they still have rights to determine the trajectory of the organization, CPP. And they're usurping powers to themselves. The right to meet and alter the framework is not the prerogative of the full political leaders, not their prerogative. There's a secretariat, an executive secretariat that is responsible with advice and consent. They put that aside. I mean, you have Ben and IU who thinks that we're still running an MPFL garment. Oh yeah, that's why they used to. Oh, who's Alex Cummings? That boy just coming. You understand? Others play by the rule, and it is so simple that when you want to change a bad system, come with the difference of living by the rules. Live by the rules. Simple. Imagine if you cannot follow the rules in CPP. Such an individual, such people ascend to power. nationally, do you know what we'll have? These are the individuals who criticize George Weah on a daily basis. And this has the tendency of driving away the common man back to their George Weah because they want to see the difference. They want to see the difference. You know, somebody sits somewhere and calls, say, hey, let's have a meeting of the mind. Firstly, they devised a plan by saying um, the the framework document, the bylaws, was tampered with. Many ways. Make that noise. A document that is in the possession of the National Elections Commission that have been signed, sealed, and approved by all four political parties within the CPP, somebody came up claiming that the document was tampered with. Okay? And they have that copy. Individuals were served a copy, they signed, they look at it, everything was in place. The rule calls for if you think at a certain point that there's the need to change anything, to alter anything within the document, the four parties consensually must agree. Not three, not two, but all four must say, yes, there's need to change this. Okay? And folks are coming in now and say, well, three parties agree, one cannot. None of that is part of the rule. This is exactly why we say Liberians don't like to play by the rules, but they've met one stubborn small guy who said, no, we will play by the rules. Because you know what? This is exactly what is responsible for our nation now going forward. We don't play by rules. We want special rules for us. But we want the rest of the other folks, you understand, to observe the rule, but not us. And you have lawless Benanayure, who probably thinks nothing is wrong with him. He's always above the law. He wants to, at least. And then backed by Joe Buckeye, the guy who's supposed to be the law and order guy. You understand? That's why at least he's claiming to be, that he will bring law and order in Liberia. But if you cannot even abide by a small agreement that four people put together, four political parties, which laws are you going to abide by? This is so disgustingly despicable. It is just so annoying to the fact that people who have been so long in the corridors of power don't even abide by simple agreements. And yet these are the individuals who think they will come and perform miracle in a public corridor. When are you going to, change yourself first? Just follow the rules before thinking about changing an entire nation that is replete with lawlessness. The discipline starts with you. The reason why these guys are finding it so difficult is because of one person. Well, to some extent, Musa Ability is not at the table. When I say it's not at the table, it's not a political leader of his organization. So you have three individuals who have selfish intention. One wants to become, maybe two want to become vice president to a Joseph Buckeye, who is just there, being willed by the air, who is being pushed. That's why we say when you reach a certain age, you start losing something called cognition, the ability to make sense of your environment, your surrounding. But people see a Joe Buckeye moving, they think that he's the same Joe Buckeye 40 years ago. No. The Joe Buckeye of today is the Joe Buckeye of 80 years old, an older guy who does not even make too much sense of what is going on around them. It's like a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, a toddler. They know they have, faint cognition of their mom, their dad, sister, people around them. Beyond that, it start getting, challenging for them. Joe might seem like, He's a guy who understands, but the cognition problem is setting in. It's natural. Men at 70, 80, 90, they're no longer the person they used to be 40, 30, 20. Clear. Okay? Now, people believe that they can ride on Joe's back. Either that's another war, civil war that hoping to take place between Yumble and and the man called Ben Ayure. But I want to believe people are so greedy for their own personal aggrandizement that they don't even care to understand the severity of this thing. That if you claim that we have an incumbent who is taking the country down to the drain, you must be the sound and mentally sober individual coming in to correct the situation. Firstly, you make rules that $10,000 should be used per political party to register this collaboration. You did not pay a dime. Somebody pre-financed it, $40,000, gave it to the National Elections Commission. Gentlemen, lady, you guys will pay me back. You understand? Because this is a nationalist who believes that the rescue of Liberia is more important than 40,000. He paid. And where did he get the money from? Boy, I don't see any organization in that Liberia context that can raise money equal to the ANC. I don't see any organization. I was part of the ANC, and I still sometimes send contribution because the way I said it, you have to go into my account and withdraw it automatically. I don't even argue. It's my obligation. It's contribution to the country. Meanwhile, you have the other folks who get all the loud mouth. But I can tell you, majority of those you see on the internet making noise, they have not even contributed a single penny to their Unity Party or their ALP. It's not even part of their culture. Because for them, they think that they should only get, they should not give back. Because if those people were making monthly dues within their own individual political parties, they'll be able to come up with that monthly due that amounts to I think some $12,000 annually. So if each political party pays about $12,000 annually as dues, I think $2,000 is the monthly membership due. Who has been paying that? All but one, and recently only two, because Belite was a godsend. Came and clear all the areas. All the Yumble Kanga, passing around in the United States with a big head tie, acting like she's so much, conformist. All of these people, they're amateurs. Imagine, firstly, they started, the scheme. The scheme started like this. They went to work, ran something called a convention within their own Liberty Party organization. While the convention was going on, that was the same time for Mr. Cummings to turn over the CPP leadership. We all know, I can play video here where Mr. Cummings say, look, I don't want this thing to be, I don't want to spend one day beyond what I'm, beyond my time. So who called for extension? Yumble. Yumble called for extension that they are in convention. When they're done with the convention, the turning over ceremony can take place. Mr. Cummings held on to it. 2 weeks later, their convention was over because they had to go for two conventions. One was in Bassa, the other one was in Banga. So that delayed the process. The men can finally they turn over. Meanwhile, Benonayure, the lawless guy who thinks Liberia, the next thing that happened to Liberia, he thinks because probably his association with Charles Taylor gave him the edge to be, the bully and everything. And this is a very weak guy. Very weak. You understand? Things that I heard about Taylor when we used to go for conference that one time, he was so angry with Benonayure. Benonayure, I heard, defecated upon himself when Taylor sent for him. This is a guy now who acting like he's a giant and a macho man. All because they are used to this gangsterism where they don't abide by the rule, but they always want to be the judge and jury on everything because they are the royals. This particular guy, you understand, is who driving this whole thing. First, they came up, they said Musa ability should alter the document, alter their party constitution. And I said, what? I came in this. Now they've seen that Alex Cummings could be a problem to Joseph Barker becoming the standard bearer of the CPP. The Joseph Barker who has not paid a single penny, him and his Unity Party. I want somebody to prove me wrong that they've paid their dues. They haven't paid from the registration down to the dues themselves. So these people owe almost $60,000 to the CPP. Not a single penny Unity Party has paid. The party is broke. Madam Salif that used to milk, another guy that used to milk the CPP was Varney Sherman. It's no longer with the Unity Party. So all the rest are just big-mouthed people who can't even spend a single penny in dues behind this particular organization. And I challenge them to show me that some of their bank account. Broke. These are the individuals who think the state must revert to them. Imagine these people. Some of them live on loans. The oldest of them admitted to us that he lives on loan. Can you imagine? These are the individuals now who want to take power away from another broke group who have at least acquired some ill-gotten wealth. CDC. These other broke people are just waiting. Where are we going with our country? Where? And they've seen that Alex Cummings could be a threat to the CPP. Now, you talking about you get base, you got number, you understand? And you are afraid to go to a convention of secret balloting. The election laws call for secret ballot. Our national constitution says vote by conscience, secret balloting, one man, one vote. We're hearing all kinds of, flowery words now. They're talking about black voting. Black voting where they'll say Nukutown, the entire borough of Nukutown will be represented by one person. You understand? Each political party is supposed to bring 310 delegates. To put them in a room, total, I think it will be about 1,260. I could be wrong, or 40. Okay? Now, these individuals will determine who becomes, now those who are vying for the CPP standard bearership will face this delegate and explain their platform, appeal to them. That's election. That's democracy. Folks now are coming to say they should vote by block. Now, what does the CPP arrangement say? The framework was Spartan. Any election was Spartan in the manner of our national elections. The Elections Commission will never approve of anything called voting block because it is undemocratic somehow. It takes away, now people are looking at, in the United States, some people have gone and read things they have no business reading in the first place. The delegate system in the United States happened this way. My friend, Liberia has a system of governance and electioneering. That's what the Election Commission subscribes to. Now, while obtained in China, in Singapore, in Malaysia, in the United States, no, none of that. The our national elections, they have a tradition that they follow. People are making that noise now that knowing that the first thing, how can you abuse somebody you refer to as your base, somebody you refer to as your number? You're abusing them that they will be subjected to bribery. If somebody is so committed and loyal to you, in all fairness, why are you disrespecting them that they'll be subjected to bribery by somebody? No, no. Actually, Joe Bucker does not have the ability to convince that many people. All this noise they're making, it's a certain group of folks who have never interacted with Joe. So they have this monumental belief of him. But the real Joe struggles. This is why they can't have a natural or normal convention in the Unity Party now, because somebody will stand against Joe. So they've gone back and say, oh, our bylaws say, our bylaws say, when you're elected standard bearer, you should go for 6 years. No. No. Anything before CPP is null and void. That's just normal legal precept, because your party constitutions falls subservient under the CPP bylaws or framework. The CPP bylaws or framework falls under National Elections Commission bylaws. The National Elections Commission bylaws falls under our national constitution. So in that order is how our laws work, my friend. Majority of these people are so dumb and idiotic to the point, forgive my language, to the extent where they think they can weasel their way through anything with some gamesmanship advantage, thinking that they are smarter. We have a system, a set of bylaws put in place by something you appended your signature to. Now you're talking about a process. In law, there is something called ex post facto laws. Ex post. And equally so, you have a repost facto law. There are two laws. Ex post, that is, anything that happened before cannot be carried forward. You understand? Anything that happened before cannot be carried backward. This is why some folks are arguing with the Rome Convention and the abuse of human rights under our Civil War. That law that evolved, that convention that evolved after the fact in Rome, is unapplicable to what occurred beyond there, our Civil War time. So repost, ex post. Okay? Now, it's not a law class, but the standard bearership of Joseph Buckeye occur pre-post, before. The laws put together say each party would hold a convention to determine who their standard bearer is. This crookish people, these folks who don't respect convention, rules, and guidelines have cleverly come, we already have endorsed our man Joseph Buckeye. The man who has not paid a single penny that should be deemed suspended within the CPP is who they are saying is putting forward Only the Unity Party has put forth a candidate in the whole arrangement for standard bearership. Meanwhile, you have not paid, so you don't even have blood. You don't have voting rights. You are nobody. You are non-entity right now in the CPP until you make good your dues. When a bank forecloses on your property, you don't tell the bank to go away. The bank tells you, they evict you even if you don't live within a certain reasonable time. You have the obligation to begin to leave. You don't go make rule for something that you don't have legitimacy over. You understand? So all these people thinking that they can outsmart certain people. They can outsmart certain people. Their intention now is to prove to us that, oh, they are smarter. You don't pay a single penny. You're a delinquent, then you matter of fact, by virtue of that, their membership should be suspended. Remember, when you're part of the CPP, you can no longer go as individual political party to NEC unless, now, if you violated the term of the collaboration, definitely, the collaboration, definitely your rights there are suspended. But that does not excuse you to go to the elections commission as an independent person to run. So you're trapped. You're trapped. The only way you can sever yourself from that arrangement right now is to go to court. Let the court determine that since you've lost your membership right, you are excommunicated, or you can be excommunicated. By virtue of that, before you can become a freeman. All of these things people are now looking at it, and the same low class, low minded people running around making noise. You understand? Because you're low class if you can't abide by simple rule. We met in good faith to establish a collaboration as responsible parties who pay towards the upkeep of that particular collaboration. You have not paid a dime, yet you want to call the rule. That's why I say I am glad Alexandra Cummings entered into that collaboration to teach these people that Liberia can be a decent place, not a place for gimmicks, for scoundrels, for individuals who think that only life is to crook people. They've long been doing it. They're looking at Alex size. But people like those can be extremely troubling when it comes to, Alex is a guy who's extremely stubborn when it comes to following the rule. Now, Yepo say, clean man, Mr. Clean Man. This is the guy who walk out of, who's going to sit down on a table of unequals. You already have not paid your due. Maybe the only person that was supposed to be there with Alexander Cummings is Yambly. But until Benin Ayue and Joseph Burkhardt can pay their dues to the CPP, you can sit on the same table with them. Article 13.3 or so say, you can be suspended. Your membership right can be suspended. Go back and look at the CPP bylaws. You're not going by that. You flexing your ego like you got some rights. You've lost your right. Period. You have lost your right. Until you can come back and settle your obligation to the club, you don't have rights. Simple. You can go and have all the convention in the world. Joe is not coming in until this big mouthed Unity Party people go to work, put money together, and pay their dues. All the folks you see running around here, some of them have not paid a single due to that Unity Party. It's not part of their culture. Because the first time they shot their way to power, or they found their way to power, was Madam Sirleaf. And Varney Sherman. Those two people are no longer in the Unity Party. that party is bound to crumble. That's why they felt they can hide their intention to saying that, hey man, you know what, we can't leave this country in the hands of George Weah, so therefore, Alex, you're the only man, and the late Bromsky appeal. I've ran too many times, I've not won, so hey, Alex, you got the future is yours. The future is yours. And now they say the voter perception survey (VPS) that um, ALP refused initially, backed by a unity party, that they were going to have no ALP. I mean, they were going to have no voter perception survey. It's what they think should be the stuff that should be on the table now. Meanwhile, they have agreed that the voter perception survey is unbinding, non-binding, because those people rejected it. I think Musa Ability was who suggested, well, at least can we have it? It's not going to be binding, but it informs. Today, folks think that if they go to secret balloting, they'll lose. Rather, they should take a voter perception survey because they've put money on people's phone that can call those radio stations. We want JMB. We want JMB. So therefore, they think in a perception survey, JMB might evolve. Meanwhile, this is something those two rejected. The two rejected it. They cannot take any voter perception survey. And the way the voter perception survey is done, they will call people probably that have not even heard those two names. Don't forget that Joseph Buckeye, for many, many years, did not leave that ELWA where he sits. Many, many years till now. The other day, I think they went to one or two other places. The man's exhausted. Have you come in closer proximity with Joe? This is, look, the challenge of running elections in Liberia, especially to go, that for that presidency, Madam Salif, as being a female, but she had some strength. They used to put that woman on hammock and cross her, some of those shallow rivers up in the country. Even the woman went as far as Grand Crew. Grand Crew. That probably had one bridge that broke. One. Where the president is coming from. Barclayville. One. Madam Salif, they used to cross her. And I know some of the guys who crossed her. There's a friend of mine named Patrice Weah. He put that woman on that hammock and they crossed that woman across to go talk to people. Joe is not able to do that. Joe does not have that strength. Okay? He doesn't. Meanwhile, folks think that you can carry someone's picture to some. Look, the challenges in running for election, especially the presidency in that country, are so enormous. It doesn't take any kind of weakling. Any kind of weakling. Remember, you have an incumbent that have access now. When elections time come, you will see helicopters hovering in Liberia. Well, the last time I think, I'm not sure where Joe and others got helicopter from, but I think they covered one or two places and it was there waving like this, technically sleeping. This is the individual you want to go put against a vibrant incumbent George Weah, who is so wealthy and you're making noise that people will bribe a small delegate of 1,240 people or 60 people. That's your fear. Oh man, if cash can win votes, you get ready for 2023. You're making noise. You're making noise. This is why we say work hard. Don't go put some weakling. Even the fact that they went for some endorsement to go to and they'll come back will reject it. You have to have a convention. They will say, oh, you can't dictate to what obtains in other political parties. No, as long as you're a member, one of 4 members within the unity, I mean, within that collaboration, definitely you have to abide by what the framework documents say. If it calls for electioneering, if it calls for a convention, you must have a convention, not endorsement. These people are not used to facing competition. You have a man who you claim to be a very popular man. He has numbers, and you can go to smaller convention. I mean, like take for instance the convention within Unity Party. It's a small stage. If you, Joe, cannot convince people to re-elect you as standard bearer, they have to force their way, nuzzle your way through, and make you standard bearer. Trust me. What will happen if you? That's why they're finding it so difficult to compete with Alex. They're finding it so hard. Look, I'm telling you, these guys they want to pull the hair off their head because all they expected that they would just come and say, "Oh my man, you just go as vice VP to the party. Let's win this thing." No, you will compete. We don't even want Joe. We don't want Joe. We need someone who is vibrant that will take that country and run with it. Because I tell you, in 2023, Liberia will be worse than what it is today. You're going to put somebody who 2 years later from now will even be worse in health. That's the individual you think will rescue that country. What type of mindset do we have as a people? They've gone now, they're going to go, then they were inviting Alex Cummings to go part of the endorsement ceremony for Joe Buckeye, what they refer to as convention. People are rejecting it within the Unity Party. That is to tell you that even within the Unity Party, apparently this is what Joe has sensed. That's why they will not go to a regular convention in the CPP. White balloting, like what they're doing now within their own parties, what they want to bring. But we got news for them. We got news. And we're not going to release them to go independent. Because once you're locked, you understand? Melvin Dishi said the block voting is intended to deny the voters of the right to make decisions. Yeah. Already they've disrespected their voters because they said Joe has numbers, but then he doesn't trust himself to face the voters and beat Alex. Alex doesn't have any base. Remember? You said it. What is Alex's base? And at the same time, you're saying that if someone has money, naturally they have a base. And boy, I think that's the entire Liberia because everybody there right now need money. And I'm telling you, that's why when you're talking about base are never constant. In politics, there's no such a thing as a base. For us, you understand? In a country like the United States where people are able to go to work and put food on the table, maybe you can talk about base, constituency base. But not Liberia. There's no loyalty to any one political organization, and it has been proven when CDC were bragging around that Monserrate is a stronghold. They taught them lesson, spanked them behind there twice. It was not because Darius Dillon was so popular. It was because the base, so-called base, is never constant. They will move from time to time and shift. And I'm telling you, with the kind of work ethics that Alex brings to the table, he can win anybody either by force or by appeal. You understand? So you who get your numbers, Unity Party got numbers. I think they throw some stuff just today or yesterday. The poll took their numbers, scanty numbers, because the individuals that used to make the Unity Party attractive are no longer there. The Vonnie Shermans of the world, the Dr. Charles Clark of the world, they're not there anymore. The Madam Sirleaf, they're gone. Now you have a guy who is just there, who Half of the time he's absent. You understand? Don't get me wrong. That's why we say, look, call this off. When you have served, if you did not acquire certain thing, maybe um maybe your luck will shine in your old age. Good luck. But winning election in Liberia, anywhere for that matter, is not a cry poor game. You can be crying poor. You live alone as yourself. You said it. You're not healthy because you told us you got heart pacer. Nobody with an irregular heartbeat with a heart pacer is healthier. Nobody. So you have all of these conditions. These are the challenges. If you want to, proceed, you have rights. Well, for God's sake, you can't be crying like somebody is taking advantage over you. You can't be crying. This CPP, you will compete. Go and have behind the house, small election with few people. Let them say you are the standard bearer. You kind of CPP, you will compete. You will compete. If your fear is that somebody will use cash, go and find yours. Because you know what? Sometimes our people have come to realize that the only time they can send their children to school or get money is during election. So if you don't have it to share, sorry for you. Because that's the culture you guys have created. When you have the ability to lead and you impoverish the people to a certain extent, you take their rights away, their dignity, they will sell it, they'll banjo it for anything that will put food in their stomach. Our people have been reduced to the level where nothing to think about but what they eat for the day to go to bed. I mean, come on. That's where we find ourselves. So let people be singing about base, about number, yet don't have any wherewithal to meet the voters halfway. You will lose. You will lose. That's why they're afraid now. They will keep just pushing, and they can't really leave the CPP. They can't. You can't expel the guy who actually make good of being in the CPP. You don't have right to do that. I hear, on thinking theory of you have the dimwit Henry Coster. You understand, who postulates and behaves as though he's clever, but listen to the language. I'm so good that I thank goodness that some of us went to school and have the ability to comprehend. When a man makes noise that much, listen to the language. He's a learner. By virtue of his recent education, he has read to the level of a bachelor's degree holder. Do you know how much some of us have read? That's not, he brags. But sometimes it's good to brag. Because people don't have the ability to sit down and read between the line and take the construct that put people together, which is the framework, and try to digest, make sense of it. Not just regurgitating, reinterpreting gossip from one gossip to another. I mean, come on, man. Come on. Come on. Like I said, they can expel Alex. Alex can expel them by virtue of their own agreement. And expulsion does not mean you are free to go run. You're not free. You are gagged and bound by the rule of the collaboration. This is why the ANC cannot field any candidate. They have to field candidates under the umbrella of the CPP. All the people who ran in that December elections ran a CPP candidate because that's who the Elections Commission recognized as the political party. So go run. Now, when you don't pay your dues, we will force these people to abide by rule. Go pay your dues, and then you reactivate your membership eligibility rights. Go pay your dues. All the noise they're causing, let them go put money together and pay their dues. If you cannot pay your dues, You don't have rights. Period. We 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 by now supposed to be able to begin to form agreement and abide by those agreements. If we can't, you understand, we will not go anywhere as a country. Not because you have um it's not in your shoes, so you think it's easy to follow agreements. You see what is happening now. You hoping to take the mantle of state from George Weah, who we claim, you understand, is abiding by no rules. He runs a lawless hegemony. People are free to do what they want to do. People are announcing that others are involved in ritualistic killing. Those people are still making laws. They're determining who our laws, where our justice system goes. A lot of things happening. We want to change all that culture. We start the workshop for doing that is a small organization called CPP. If you cannot abide by simple rule making, pay your dues. You can pay dues. The money to even register your the CPP, you did not pay a single penny. Now you want to come and think that you should be given extra rights, and so therefore, um, you have the right to expel the guy who pays, who keeping the lights on. It's so funny. It's like when we were growing up in our father's home, my father said, you can go and make the rule out there. But here, I pay the bill. I am the boss. You don't like it? Get out. That will happen. Because you have rights. To maintain that rights, even in the home, you do your chores. You abide by your father's rule. My mom used to say, 8 o'clock that is if you going to school, you late. You get up activities. 8 o'clock. Otherwise, my father used to say 6, you should be home. And you should be accounted for wherever you're at. So there are rules everywhere. If you constantly violating those rules, you probably just get out of my house. So you can go find somewhere where you can make your rule. You made a simple agreement called the framework. Within that framework, you agreed to pay monthly dues. You reneged. Now you're saying that 3 people agree, so therefore, and I understand you, Liberty Party, they're playing with Musa ability. They brought the wrong guy in. Don't be surprised if you hear Yomble Kanga and Darius Dinla being excommunicated from their own political party. Let them go form something now. You understand? Because when people don't follow rules, they suffer. This is why Liberia is suffering today, because we're not following rules. Those rules they came up with within the CPP, some people just, out of decency, Alex probably went and met, his colleague, quote unquote, at Calabash, just for, bilateral talks. The framework calls for people should be engaging, because you're trying to build that social cohesion among the 4 of them, that we're all in this together, so that even when decision is involved democratically, somebody will not see to go separately. The reason, look, I can tell you, if the reason right now why those other 2, because not Liberty Party. Liberty Party is starkly in the CPP. Yomble Kanga is just a political leader, so she's like a titular figurehead. And now let Benana Yue ALP, who that family thing, so you own it. The party, even Joe Buckeye struggles. The party, Joe Buckeye struggles. So they don't have their own voices, but Alex decided to go meet them. Hey, these are your folks. People are trying to still be decent. But come on. People find it so difficult. First thing, Benana Yue thinks within that whole circle, he's the smartest guy. That's what he thinks. That's what you think. And yet still he can't win small Carisburg. The smartest guy. And he goes about engaging in gossips. Oh, yeah, this man, you'll say got money, he doesn't have money. Well, the man who doesn't have money pays his dues. You who claim to have all the millions, you have not paid a single penny. It is unfortunate that we have to be able to sit in this day and age of our country to have these kinds of people still in our political corridor. We're going nowhere unless this face of folks who think that the nation must continue on that path. These people, unless they you know they face out, Liberia will never make progress. Liberia will not make progress. And I think one of the most opportune moments is to begin to bring strange phases, strange elements. And I like the how they say the man is a stranger. Only a stranger can change that that fiasco we have there now called culture. Political culture is rotten. Nobody wants to abide by the rule. Nobody's going to abide by the rule because why should I abide by the rule? Why? Better not came from a system under Charles Taylor where they have their own set of rules. They ran everybody out of town, so therefore, that's what he's used to. Joe doesn't think he should go by the rule because he's an old man. They said, with age comes ownership. So he thinks that everything within his circle, he should be considered first. No, no, Joe. That's why I say eventually you will get the message that this time around you are in a competition with somebody who is very, very slicky. When I say slicky, not that he's gonna go bribe anybody. But Alex is one of those guys. Don't be carried away by his looks. You can't intimidate him. By the way, Alex is taller than you, Joe. Physically, he's stronger. Even though they call him names, he's stronger, younger, he's smarter. Period. Now, time for Joe to take over the leadership of CPP, where he can demonstrate his leadership acumen. Joe is running away from it because Joe will show himself the kind of leader he is by the time we fall on to the convention of the CPP. You would have known who Joe is in terms of his leadership style, the way he carries on. Joe is avoiding to take over the mantle of the CPP. Period. He's afraid because he would demonstrate, show himself. Now you will get to know why Madam Salif did not consider Joe. Simple. There's nothing that will stop Joe from taking over CPP. Nothing. Unlike when Alex was ready to turn over this thing, Yumle said, "Oh, we're in convention. After the convention, you can turn over." 2 weeks later, 2 weeks. All those 2 weeks was the time Liberty Party took to organize the convention. Under that 2 weeks, there was a turning ceremony. You know how long Benana Ure ruled the CPP or led the CPP and almost practically refused to turn over? And see the short time Alex took over. It was so in place. That was that by-election moment, that municipal election on December 8th. That election. In that election, see how many candidates won within the CPP. Look, they were even going to win more, but the same Benuna Ure and others fielded candidates where they have agreed, they met to say certain region belong to certain political party within the CPP. They broke that rule. They broke that rule. People don't abide by rules. And those are the individuals who are fighting to be leaders of our country. We can't go anywhere like this. We can't go anywhere. Like I said, once um leadership decision or any decision to alter anything within the CPP is done by consensus. Again, not two people, not three, not one, all four. That's what I mean by consensus. All of them must agree before you can do anything. Boy, these people are stuck right now. That which is not part of the agreement, it can be brought in. They can talk about their black voting. They can even go bring one man one, whatever they want to bring. It's their right. But it's not going to be part of any conventional rule within the CPP because the rule and guidelines have already been drawn and laid out. They're not seeing their way clear. And it was painstakingly done. These were luminaries of the law that came together, backed by their own, supervision or witness. Before you sign anything you did not agree with, you should have raised. Once that document was signed and sealed, submitted to Elections Commission, it becomes the binding law that governs CPP. So this is, I mean, it's like, like a witchcraft, tower in the air at night and then day is fast coming. They have to make it to their port of destination before day breaks. So I think it's coming to the point where day is breaking on some of these people. And I can tell you what, the frustration, the part has not come yet because you know what? When they think that they will come from that collaboration and go run independently, that's when they will get to know that it doesn't work that way because National Elections Commission does not know them individually. So if you can't get away, you can't. You appended your signature thinking that you were smarter enough later on to outsmart your way through. But it's catching up with you. And it's so good it happening that way. We had at least one guy who would say, you know what? Enough is enough. We abide by the rule we came together and agreed to abide by. We are not going to change anything right now. So frustration will step in. Oh man, you see what will happen. People will be cussing Marcus pretty soon. Just watch. Because you know what? They wanted to go sit down. Like how people, that's why one of those our acclaimed psychiatrist or psychologist was saying today that the body language would say there was some predetermined discussion Yumbly Kanga was just regurgitating from. Look at the body language. Others were not even maintaining eye contact because the information that was coming out of her mouth was not new. The moment Alex walks out, the press was there. Because the idea is to present Alex as the boogeyman or the bogeyman. And so, like, Brumpo can look at it and say, oh, yeah, this guy's a problem. And you see, hurriedly they ran out. Oh, Alex, walk out, Mr. Clean Hands, broke the rule. He should have stayed there. How you stay there with people who don't even pay bills in the first place? Probably they were even going to sit at that calabash, and take some stuff. Then I take that back probably. But that's how low these people have presented themselves. How would you be in a collaboration since 18 or 19? You have not paid a single penny to what you're being there, to upkeep the commitment. And come on, man. Even if Joe is broke, if he lives on loan, what about the membership of Unity Party that's supposed to come together and fundraise right away? You get angry. You get angry. Some, I saw some cold discussion. Oh yeah, Alex say he get money. Let him keep paying. Look at that. You don't have rights. You don't have rights. And Alex will continue to pay. We'll continue to pay. We'll continue to pay. Those in the ANC, those people know how to fundraise. I can tell you if the ANC, if news had come out that the ANC was delinquent, oh man, it takes one day or one weekend. You have people donating money from everywhere. What? That's what I call pride. That's what I call class. If a group of people don't think that they should even put their money where their mouth is, then what a class. What is the class? Zero. Folks who come and make all the noise, all the rest, I got 5,000 views. Convert that into cash and make your obligation towards smaller expectation. If I have my child, you understand, I'm not capable of paying the tuition even in college. You understand? Or meet the smaller obligation, my homely obligation. Do you think I'm respected in that home? No. I don't call it shot. I don't call it shot anymore. If this household, my wife was who was doing everything, I've lost my voice. Eventually. I've lost my voice. That's what it is. We should have gone to work and begin to pay, make our commitment, pay our dues, so that you would tell. You would tell that when they meet, all that noise better now you were making, 5 cents. I think they say when Thiele was running, that's when he came up with that $20 some $100. So you have to register those people. Well, come on, man. Alex paid the first fee. You cannot take the CPP money. You understand, when you have not contributed and want to use it to pay towards your candidate. Because you didn't pay. You didn't pay. And Alex was in rain boots, poncho, running under the rain, mud, going door to door, helping Thiele Ure. You understand? The ungrateful child came up and want to disrespect Alex Cummings now. The same thing with Darius Dillon. This is exactly who our people have become. Gamesmanship. Gamesmanship. They feel that right now nobody outsmart them. Gamesmanship. I'm not saying you should pledge loyalty to Alex because he helps you through an election, but at least don't disrespect him. This is somebody who was there for you. And I can guarantee Joe gave zero to Darius Dillon. Kafu would be with Dillon in Dillon's stomach, because I'm pretty sure Alex contributed to his campaign. Just like how Musa Belete came up the other day and explained exactly what he did for him. All of these people have come together because these people are the same people. They will fake it for a short time, but they cannot go further because they're monkeys. Now Pam will always remain black. Exactly what they've proven themselves to be is what they're demonstrating right now. Nothing strange. Nothing strange. Trust me. It'll even be colder. And these are the folks you think should take power away from George Weah. At least George Weah is not as sophisticated. This is why he's hurting this guy. They have this determination that if they grab power right now, I don't know what will happen. We can't win election like this. We can't win election because you know what? The common man just observing. And we're gonna go places with this fact that people are not paying dues. We're gonna go places with it. We're gonna show how very irresponsible these people are when it comes to meeting their obligation. So they cannot take care of the common man's obligation. I mean, the obligation to the common man. They can't. They can't. Because you know what? As far as I know, these individuals, they're not there for you. They're there for themselves. That's why the little penny they have, they're stocking them up, in corners. Come on, man. If Unity Party is so angry, let them go and pay their dues first. So right now, we can't even call for a secretariat meeting to see if we can change an executive meeting to change the laws of the CPP. We can't. Why can't we do that when people are delinquent? Who's going to make that decision? Who's going to make that decision? Chief Affleck Colley. When was the last time you paid dues? Your organization is, all the noise people make here. When was the last time some of these people even pay dues? You, Steve, not Steve. There's another guy named Sylvester Wamplo. This is my boy Steve. How are you, Steve? Long time, my brother. The other day I heard you was your birthday. How are you, man? So, can you imagine? A small obligation as paying your dues. It is disgraceful. And I know Madam Salif just shaking her head. Say, I told you about these people. Irresponsibleness. Man, I'm telling you, a small CPP, you want to run for elections, man. When Vonnie Sherman was part of the Unity Party, I remember one time Vonnie Sherman went to work. I think he bought 20 pickups. 20. Now Vonnie Sherman is not in the position to do all of that. So the Unity Party, they got big mouth, but they don't have the pockets. They got numbers. They're scared to go for a small convention. You understand? They have a base, but they don't trust the base because they believe the base probably will take money from somebody and vote against them. So just read between the lines. Nothing concrete. Nothing concrete. That's why I say if somebody thinks that this base is something that they have control over, you should not worry if somebody has money to bribe anybody. At least like Beyonce used to say, they will treat me like Kennedy Sandy or Vonnie Sherman. Yeah, if you trust your people, they will treat any candidate with money like Vonnie Sherman. But no, I think eventually Liberians are beginning to fall for the right thing. Not just people because, of sympathy. Gone are the days, that's why I would say compete. Nobody's going to come forward and say, it's my time now, royal rights. I've been there for all these years, And the other day, I brought up the issue that it was better for GMB to say, as a 70-some-year-old man, he has a 40 plus years working experience. Joe went to work, unraveled that because probably people stood over him and said, no, don't say 42 years. Cut it down. So Joe only mentioned when he was appointed. And all of the positions Joe held, not civil service position, they were cabinet appointed position. That's why he named. 1 year LPRC, 9 years LPMC, agriculture ministry. You put all together, he collectively said 25 years. Men who is in almost in their 80s. I believe Joe is 80s. Is in his 80s. Either he doesn't know his age, or he just simply want to reduce his age, just as it's reducing his number of years work as an adult. So if you are that old and then you only have 25 years worth of experience, there's a gap in your skill. If I'm an employer, if I'm an HR person, manager, employing somebody, I hear that gap, I feel you rusty, you don't have skill. And this is exactly what it is. We start reeling back the number of years you've worked simply because you're trying to send a message the same where you went out and told people, look, it was so despicable for you to say at your age, "Yeah, I live on loan. I borrow, go to IB Bank. I borrowed there 5 times." This is just to tell you that Joe does not have control over his own words. Because somebody came up with that. Why would you, at this age, it's like somebody telling me that I live on loan. Do you think Joe who's supposed to have asset? You cannot live on loan. Not only you can borrow. You can borrow to multiply an investment. You can always borrow. We don't just go to the bank and go and just go pay for a house. We take a mortgage for a reason. Take a mortgage. We take car loan. Even basketballers, sport athletes, they take loans. But they have the ability to pay because there's something called debt to income ratio. You have to have the income for you to have a commensurable amount of loan. So either Joe was lying or Joe actually lives on loan. Joe does not have money to pay his responsibility in the CPP, and Joe is about to inherit a national coffers from a group of people who are looting the republic so much. What do you think Joe would do in his group? What do you think they'll do? These people don't have money to even foster a small organization and pay their dues. What do you think they'll do? You put the national coffers in their hand. Exactly. It's what that's why they're pushing so much, so hard. Pushing so hard. They don't even think they should be spending money right now. Oh, the guy who just come from America, he say he's wealthy. Let him be spending money. You have a collaboration where you all have equal obligation. You have gone to work and have not met your dues. Period. You don't have any rights. And you've lost the respect. I know these people lost their respect in the eyes of Alex long time. But certain people, they'll manage. They'll manage with you, thinking that you will change. But these people are not changing. People are who they are. They will never change. They will never change. Some of us, the pride we're doing right now, the things we're coming up with on people they're calling clean and full of integrity around here, let a re-election come. Let a re-election come. People will see stuff. People will see stuff. Like I said, Madam Salif just there watching and say, people, they don't know these people. They don't know these people. And that's true. That's true. They're gone now to go have a white ballot, thinking that that's convention. But I think that will backfire because I think certain um, Unity Party folks who are paying, probably, who have ownership also of the Unity Party, they don't like what's happening right now. You can't just go meet at Joe's house and say you are the standard bearer. That is not democratic. Not at all. Not at all. That's why they wanted to come and say, okay, Joe, you are the standard bearer of the CPP. So they'll make all the noise. And like sometimes I see old man Gabriel Manga is sitting in his car making noise. I said, look, you don't even know what's going on, but I can tell you that people believe that the way Liberia was run many, many years ago is how we should continue to run the country. Just place leadership in the hands of a few. That's the oligarchic way of thinking. The oligarchs, they supposed to, this is Hausfeld. This is like the 30-year war when you have people determining the leadership of Europe by the number of wealth you have, where, I remember when the after the 30-year war, you have the Middle Age in Europe, and where people were not really democratic in themselves. The society was becoming more for the rich and the wealthy. Sort of what used to obtain in the for further east, like Russia, where a group of people would just determine who the next president would be. That's exactly that socialistic tendency. You didn't into a collaboration now. None of these people who are claiming they are now running, none of them have come out and written anything that they are not going to be competing for the CPP leadership. Somebody, when they declare, according to them, they declare support for Joe Buckeye, and so far that's it. That's not even what the law say. As far as we're concerned, there should be 4 individuals in the ballot competing for the leadership of CPP. That's why we know. That's why the law say. But these folks have come to work. Some people have said, I'm not running. Yumbly even explaining, or reciting, regurgitating certain thing, not even knowing the rule. This was the same individual who ran across the road to NEC to say that the laws they have been changed. Their constitution have been changed, have been altered. People had to give all the rules. The same thing now happening. The other guy went nowhere and come look at the document has been altered. Which document has been altered? The one with the National Election Commission is unaltered. It's there. The way how you gave it to them is how it's those things are kept in a vault. Nobody has access to them. You compare those two, the two different documents I was showing because gamesmanship. These are the crooks. That's why we have to have the war and economic crime so that some of these people can bring them to justice. Just like how Charles still up behind bars right now is where some of these guys belong. Because you know what? Until then, that country will never go forward. It will never go forward. Even at 80, somebody is fighting to still to lead, that class of people. Because it's a whole class, it's a clique. Anybody who does not belong there, of course, you're the odd man out. And the people show their teeth to somebody like Alex, but they hate him to the core. Who is this guy that wants to come and obstruct us? What? They're set to take over power now from George Weah. Do you know how determined these people are if they get power next time? Nothing will come for the common man. It will only be about themselves. I mean, a government that a swindler like Benin Ayue has influence over, you think anything good will come out of that government? You should just go and look at Charles Taylor government, who was declared as a pariah, a rogue government. Exactly what, you're looking at Joe. Some people say, oh, when Joe get power, he will expel Benin Ayue. Hell no. Joe's not going to expel any Benin Ayue. Benin is a part and parcel of Joe's plan, the ambition. They probably have their own selfish ambition within that. But right now, that just tells you the kind of Liberia we're going to have post George Weah under these people. What? And I think that will be the single thread upon which Liberians will stand and vote against Joe Buckeye, because the fact that you have Benin Ayue behind him, do you know what that means? I'm supposed to have Manny Pacquiao Du Mois tomorrow. I like that guy. He's a tough talking guy. And trust me, put that guy and the other blabber called Henry Costa in the same boat. Boy can talk. So that boy shut down Keith Hassan, one of the guys. Keith Hassan has come out to present himself as one of the diehard seditions. Folks who are supporting the president. Not even in supporting President Weah, but sometimes he doesn't see black from white because he's fixated. So Manny Pacquiao came and shut him down. Manny Pacquiao is a tough kid. So he coming in tomorrow. You and I going to have a lovely conversation because um, I think he's one of those supporting Alex Cummings. You know, you look at the quality of people who are coming over to support Alex. These are individuals with future. I mean, now when you have a group of people within the Unity Party who does not see anything wrong with supporting a man 10 times their generation, you understand? Someone who some of us will refer to as an abuser. Because when you don't have that due recognition to believe that your time to serve a generation has phased out, you keep encroaching, you're an abuser. You understand? It's like seeing a 90-year-old lady going to the club, to the, hip hop club or nightclub, dancing. Can you imagine? Come on, when are you gonna leave the club? It's the question you should be asking. So if you don't think you have that carnal obligation to turn over leadership of a nation to a younger generation, not even his children's generation, probably his grandchildren, or maybe just the generation just before him or after him, and before him, sorry, before him. If you don't see that that decency does not exist, you understand? There are so many things that mark civilization. Your ability to follow laws, rules, and regulation, that's civilization. You know, a friend of ours is in Guinea, and he was there the night of the coup, the exchange of government. The guy said the next day people were in the street going after their normal business. And I always say that is civilization. Try Liberia. Change government in that form and see what will happen. If we'll even be going to work 1 year later. Try. Because civilization is the ability to recognize rules and just abide by, those rules don't have to be conventionally laid down in paper. Just out of conscience. Decency. Oh, one of the rules, you can't cuss a lady. You can't lift your hand against your wife. No, these are not things that should be in book. These are things that should fall within the realm of decency. You know, you see some certain people, a lady having their live show, they honor their cussing. That's uncivilization. That's exactly what most of those folks who are posing themselves as leaders. Indecency is the ability to come up with a simple rule called CPP where you're supposed to pay your dues and you don't pay dues. That is indecency. Imagine. That's why some of us have lost all, respect for something. Now, you just want me to abide by this fact that this is an older man. Be careful how you talk to him. Well, the older man has not demonstrated decency enough to say we came up and drew a certain level of laws. Let us abide by those laws, so that when we go forward, people know that we have that culture within us to abide by laws. But if a man does not even see it prudent to even pay a small due, imagine. You can't tell me, integrity. You can't tell me ignobility, as the word goes, is the ability to be not to recognize your obligation. Can you imagine if a man does not think that the laws governing a small CPP must be followed to the letter, because this is they're sending out a caveat, a signal that we coming to inherit power from the status quo are law abiding people. were decent enough to make laws and follow. Firstly, four political leaders should never meet in a collaboration and decide the fate of the organization. That is not what the rule that you agreed to calls for. So they were not even supposed to be there in the first place, but they can meet as four heads to solidify all that social cohesion. We in this together. Let's meet camaraderie, have lunch. You understand? But now they go sit down and make prudent decision when the ability to make decision at a certain level, you understand, it's not even within your purview. That's how it is. Your well say, oh man, hey, let a man pass through the airport. Hey, don't subject the man to national security law. The man comes, instead of going through the line, wiggle his way out. There's a special door where, you know, laws. You don't have the ability. It's just something you need to practice. Lots of times, some of us, we've practiced so much that, it's so natural that I go by speed limit. I don't even pay attention. Sometimes my mind going somewhere, I'm driving within the posted speed sign limit. Because it's just within me. It's just within me. I'm telling you, just abide by the rule. There's nothing wrong in abiding by the rule. You know? There's nothing wrong. Or I'm in a store, I can be talking on the phone, yelling at everybody, looking at me. So what's going on? You keep a law. Simple rule. Decency. You understand? If I'm late, I'm going to work, I'll be reprimanded at work. I'll call. I'm running late. But that does not mean I should be tearing down between traffic just to get there, endangering the lives of others. That's indecency. Lots of things involved. And us Liberians would think we're normal people sometimes, but when you double check on some of these things, we're lagging. And that's why we take to the leadership arena. That's why we take there. If a man cannot pay a simple due in their organization, you understand? Trust me. Some of us were part of different organizations, and I go to bed every day, and it's like I'm supposed to eat to survive. Yeah, I've not paid my dues in this club, this club. It weighs on me to the extent where I'm thinking, damn, you understand? Because I've made it a part of my law abiding principle that I agree to be a member of this. There's certain club that I owe money right now. And I'm worried. By virtue, I could just say, I don't care. But I'm feeling like others are there with me. They've met their obligation. Why am I not meeting my obligation? I'm worried. I'm finding now a contingency plan how to pay right away. It's like a debt. Like a debt. I can just turn my back. There's certain clubs that I owe right now. A member of different clubs. I owe. I don't go to bed happily because I've reneged, and all comes to the fact that we're watching some of us watching our finances. But if you, for God's sake, if you have a membership generated organization like the Unity Party, if the members who got loud mouth are not able to come together and put $5, even if you undertook a $5 rally among all your members, all the folks who are talking about Joe Strong, if all of those people can put $5 worldwide, everywhere, in no time you settle that due. But people don't feel that they even. Why should they put their $5 is what? To be frank, $5 is what? That's crackers out the store. Get a cash app. Everybody throw their $5 there. because people don't pay dues. Mostly these political parties, they don't pay dues. All the noise people making, all the folks making noise around there about Unity Party, they don't pay dues. Not a single penny. Otherwise, the organization should have money because they believe those things are taken care of by certain people. I don't have to put my money there. So I think the leader will pay. Think what Joe lives on loan. Why is he going to take money from the bank again to go and pay Liberty, Unity parties do? No. So you see, they don't even use. They're not used to it, and people don't feel the obligation. So when these things come up, it's like it's strange. What do you mean? Well, it means you have not paid for your organization to be able to pay or meet their obligation. Simple. You don't pay the light bill, they cut your light. They cut your light. So these folks don't even know that it's necessary to make the mini contribution, minimal contribution. The ANC we used to pay, I think 20, it was $120 a year. Okay, I think it's still that way because some of us said it automatically. I'm pretty sure long time they've taken that money off my account. Not that I'm wealthy, but certain things you don't want to be falling behind. At least you want to have that obligation. We had the ANC here, group of very committed people, very decent people, were stabbed, will open an office, first of its kind, for a political organization in the diaspora subchapter to open an office where we were paying monthly rent. You understand? And we went to work, and those people were so committed. Look, some certain time we just meet. We just determine that we have to raise money right away. Some people will give more, some people will give within their means, but the idea will be able to come up with that money. We did that religiously. Certain things happen, you know, and talk about those. But I'm only saying that when people have that decency, they will always meet their obligation. Bunch of indecent people, that's how I see it. If an entire party will go into a collaboration and they can't pay a single penny, bunch of indecent people, and don't you ever dare trust those people with power. Because those people don't think they owe society, they think society owes them. So therefore they should just be drawing. That's all what this is all about. And that's the same mindset CDC went in with. If a man can take money out of uncertainty and help people, forget about you saying that Alex want to be president, that's why he's doing all of this. There are no guarantees that when someone does all of this, they're going to make them president. No guarantee. Absolutely not. Alex can spend all the money in the bank. If Liberian people don't feel that he is worthy of becoming the president, he will never be. So stop the limping excuse about he wants to be president, that's why he's giving all this money. No. Some people is in their DNA to give. Simple. Some people are mean. And boy, what I've heard about Joe, that's it right there is demonstrating. Mean. Folks will give you what to do. They will not give you what they don't even want. They'll prefer to keep it there in the corner. It'll be there for life. They're cluttering instead of giving that out to create space for new one to come in. I show you a picture the other day. The man said carry cassette recorder. Modern day. Because Joe does not feel like cassette recorder should be given away at this time. They're keeping on to it. And these are the individuals you go put in the corridor of power where they determine the national coffers in their control. Boy, How are we going to make progress? How are we going to make progress? Trust me, man. How? How are we going to make progress if we don't believe that we should be able to make the ardent sacrifice of giving back? Because that's what leadership is all about. Selflessly, you're giving back. Nothing, not expecting anything in return. You have this guy who gossips somebody. Oh, the man say, that man broke. Oh, that man told me he had to go sit down. And, Alex, you think Alex is going to explain his his worth to somebody like Benona Yue when he knows Benona Yue hits the ground he walks on? You think Alex is going to go sit down and tell Benona Yue what he worth? Alex may not be as wealthy. And let me see if I can find something somebody say about Alex. Hold on. But I'm just telling you that we have a system where folks don't respect other people. Um, Jealous. I think I've come. Simply. I hate to use the word jealousy when it comes to Benina Yue and Alex, but I think Benina Yue has some level of jealousy for Alex Cummings. I think he does. I don't know why. Whether probably some say, oh, he was bragging that he's the most richest man in Liberia, and now somebody with real cash has showed up. I don't know if I can. I don't want to subjugate myself to those kinds of low way of thinking. But sometimes you have to put some level of explanation on these things. Why would someone hit someone so much to the core, even when the individual is trying to make when this individual is trying to make ardent effort to be an organizational person, making good an obligation that you have to meet. The individual say, okay, you know what, gentlemen, I'll pre-finance this thing. Um, 4 political parties, $40,000 just to register this. Let's do it. You understand? I'll do it. I'll take care of it. You guys can always pay me back later. It's gone 3 years. It means that's a debt you're not intending to pay. In addition, you've gone to work, and even the monthly dues that you're supposed to pay, you don't think you even need to pay that due anymore. You understand? You don't think so. You understand? But let me play this thing that hopefully I'll be able to. Give me a minute here. I think I'm at this point. Some of us and people are driving lots of people away from the CPP because people are beginning to notice that they are no different from CDC, especially the elements that are posing to be, they are machinating their ways to pull the leadership out of this thing at all costs. They will not accept, those people will not accept just anything. They will not. Because for them, they went in with the intention to game smart orders.
You are so rich. This man is so freaking rich. Between 2015 to 2014 to 2016, those of you who argue that companies don't get money, you ain't know the fact. You just shut the hell up. So my own people have told them to shut the hell up because they don't do research. Companies unload, that they call it unload, when you own stocks, hold stocks in a company, and then you sell the stocks. Companies.
So I got some static here with my stream. Hopefully What did I do here? Hold on there. Oh yeah, that was Henry Costa. In fact, was making something about comments. Hold on, let me see what is. Uh, yeah. So
$89.7 million worth of stocks. 89.7 million right now, other one. I mean, 79.8 million. 79.8 million. That's $80 million. $80 million in stocks.
I mean, hold
This
on.
man has so much money.
Well, I was going to bring this on video so you can see what Henry Costa is saying. Okay, now this is somebody who Bernard has gossip in closer circle that the man does not have money. Well, that's not even why Alex should be running for the presidency, not because he's wealthy or not wealthy. I think Alex has demonstrated enough that he has to the extent where he shares. But when a man has this personal jealousy for, it's like the dude who used to chase after your girl, you will never talk good about that individual, in high school back then. You will never talk good about them, no matter what. So this man would never say anything healthy about Cummins, even though Cummins has demonstrated that this guy and him, they're just organizational bodies. They should be like on the same page. But this guy they call Benana Ure has a treacherous way of going after issues. Very treacherous way. And unless he stops, I don't think anything good will happen to him. That's why George Will went to work and said, well, the US will never be somebody in our country. I cannot say that of Ben because he got some promising children and those girls, but I don't want that spillover effect to come on them. That bad luck to transfer because their father has done so much. To me, to hit somebody at that level is evil, extremely evil. Why would you just look at someone who is not even in your way? And look, some audio that I've heard about this man since Cummins came into the picture. I really don't know where Benana Yue and takes his accuses his anger and spite from against Cummins. I don't know. Maybe they went after the same woman or what. They something happened with them because both of them, I understand, they were in Cottonton together. I don't know. I don't know. And you ask Alex would say, Ram, I don't know. And they said, but what this guy? What have you done to him? What have you done to him? Even when you see Joe behaving a certain way against Alex, it's because of Ben and IUA. Because you can tell that there's this chemistry between Joe and Alex. Look, I can tell you, Alexander Cummins, you understand, he's the kind of guy that would say, you know what, Joe, I'll let you go. But genuinely, that was not probably what they sat and discussed. And it's always good to tell somebody exactly your intention and ambition before they take a decision. This is why normally people will tell you that if you are hoping to run, for position, reach out to people earlier so that somebody else don't reach to them and they get their commitment, and then you coming back later on thinking that because your proximity or closeness to that individual, they will dash the other person, in favor of you because of that closeness. Some people, once they've given their word out to others, no matter who comes later, they will always tell you, I have given my word to the other person. Now, that is what I call decency. These are not binding agreement that will sign a signature that support me. Yes, I agree. Here's my signature. But it's just a seal of approval that an individual comes forward and say, hey, I'm running, I need your support. And then you say, oh, you got my support. That is an agreement with the conscience. So apparently Joe never had the intention of running, from what I heard. But Benaniah feels that no other person, let alone Alex, should be president in Liberia. I'm pretty sure maybe Benaniah say if this guy become president, will really prosecute some of us. Maybe that's his fear. Well, if you have done nothing, why are you scared of prosecution? It's like you're saying, you got numbers, you got a base, but you're scared to go to a small conventional election. What do you have? Wow. What? Look, the way how they care on about the Omega base, the Omega number, no amount of election should frighten him, because people, no matter where you have an election with Joe Buckeye in the ballot, people there would be his base and part of the number that he has. But apparently it's not true. So where does hatred come from, Ben? I don't know. I just want to end it here. 12:52. I've gone, 2 hours 21 minutes. But hopefully, our man Manny Pacquiao Duma will be coming tomorrow. I like the guy. Very smart. May not have won election, but I think he got head over his shoulder than most people who running around here to be smart. And rightfully so, some folks are afraid of him. And Manny Pacquiao will not be the guy that will come into your party and you want to run it like your farm. He's gonna leave. And that's how it's supposed to be. Look, none of us were born and stuck to or glued to some political organization to say, hey, you have to be here. I'm the God of Abraham and Isaac, so I've placed you in this political party. You must stay there. I've placed you in this church. You must stay there. Even religion. I've known people who have switched between Christianity and Islam. It's a soul searching thing. Political parties and association, freedom of association, is a soul searching thing. Association in any form, even marriage to someone. People are married 5 times, they're still searching for their soul. 5 times, they still. Some people marry and remarry. They divorce the same person. Yeah, Ben Affleck now is flirting with J-Lo. That's it. Soul searching. That's part of the fundamental freedom, the free will, the ability to choose based on your own likeness. It's not something anyone can dictate. So I hear some people say, oh, you're a political prostitute, as though you're not supposed to change when the philosophy within those organizations change around one individual. Why would I want to be part of Unity Party if I can't go to a convention? Rather, they will coronate someone and say, hey, it's your time now, you be the standard bearer. Why would I want to be part of that political? It's not democratic, that culture. Why would I want to go join, Benani US ALP when he's a standard bearer for life? Or if he leaves, Taylor Ure will come. Unconventionally, she was sent to the throne, to the standard bearership. Why would I want to be in that kind of organization? There was a time when Liberty Party was all Bassa people. You understand? Led by Brumskin. Manny Pacquiao, I think, was part of it. Why would I want to be part of those kinds of things? So people are still searching. I think he has surfaced now with the ANC. If he doesn't feel comfortable with the ANC, he leaves. That's the hate. He's breaking no law, nothing. That's not even the law of decency he's breaking. It's just they don't equally yoke. I go to certain church, I know I don't belong there because that's the pinnacle of gossip. Right away I go there, I worship, but the culture there does not permit me or permeate me to stay there. I don't go there anymore because we're all soul searching. That's the essence of humanity. We live fundamentally to search our own soul towards something called happiness. The pursuit of happiness is every man's endeavor. So you go somewhere, you in one organization, you and the people can get along. It means you have now discovered your soul. You leave. That's how it is. You know? And nobody should force you. So I look at Manny Pacquiao Dumas, a very guy. I mean, I'll bring in tomorrow. You see how he talks. Hopefully, comes in our conversation so we can just sit down and talk. I like people who have heads over their shoulder, and I think he's one young man that does. Um, and there are lots of folks, who are coming up these days are not going by the old ways, and people can get angry with them. Why would I want to go be in an organization where I'm in my 40s, 50s, and 60s, and we're still bringing one 80-year-old guy with Willie Hammock, bringing him to be our standard bearer? What happened to me? What happened to the other guy? Why him only? Come on, man. Just look. When you turn around, certain organization, the same face has been the leader there forever, ALP, for instance. Why only Benin Ayure? Why others? Because they see those things as their personal property. Even Joe would tell you that the Unity Party is his own. It's his personal chattel. You know? That's not how organization's supposed to be. That's why when we started forming the ANC, we did not want to make it an identity based on one individual. And it will come to roost because the philosophy from which the ANC was founded, after a certain time, will get tired and weary to see one person in the helm of leadership. There would be some yo-yo that will come, and that individual, will have to descend, bring somebody else. That's how an organization is supposed to be. God did not make the church. The only person that rules forever in perpetuity is God. Even in the church, the head of the church changes. The Pope. That's why they will have even though those are lifetime almost position, but sometimes they have changes. Because you can't afford to see one individual just being your leader throughout, outlive several generations, but they're just there. Why, man? Joe has served his time since the founding of the Liberty Party. Joe of the Unity Party. Joe, they have been there. Started with Edward Banya Kessler, Jibbaro Cologne. I remember those names. All of these folks were there. Joe is still hanging there. That's his right. But Joe to be an ideologue and luminary sitting in some advisory area now, just throwing advice to the younger generation come, but the guy is still struggling. They're willing him in hammock to bring in the power, in wheelbarrow to come in and stand, in wheelchair to come and be the standard bearer, and folks okay with that. And then they say we want a democracy. No, only the Shah or the prince or the king would be the only one that enjoys power at that level because he's he's appointed for life. Queen Elizabeth will die in power. At least you already know who else will be, but the member of the royal. You can't make political organization that is supposed to be democratic that way. Hey, that's why Joe will not go to convention. And that's just white balance because group of people have hijacked that political party, and that is exactly the spite and anger that exists within our organization that they're afraid so much to go to public competition like a convention because somebody will rise up and say, "Nah, I'm running." People can be mature as much, but when you get to the point where they feel that you're not going to go, they will come up and this thing they've done. You hear some noise in the Liberal and Unity Party. I would just have one person, you know. It got promised that in 2017 that was his last time of running. 4 years later, they're still willing him in chair to bring him to be. Joe barely stands. I wonder if he knew today was from some white balloting thing they were going to do on him. Then he inviting people to come and witness it for what? That is undemocratic. That's why I say that one man will change the culture of our politicking. That one person. It took one man in Ghana, one crazy guy named Gerald Rowling. I'm like, it takes one person. I want to believe that God Himself, is watching and say, you know what? I think I'm ready for these Liberian people. They've gone this way forever. They will never change. So therefore, I'm going to make it possible. One person will just kind of steer the culture where we change everything. Then they'll be on the path to recovery or development. I think that's what is happening. They'll fight. Let them fight. Some folks say they don't see way how Alex will find his way. Well, they fight for it, the man will stand. Yesterday, I think people were cheering. They said the guy walked out. The clean man walked out. Hey, some people were jubilating. It just reminded me of Charles Taylor going to that conference. I think we had that conference in Switzerland. And so the man signed. If some of you can remember, then he came out and said, that signature was not my real signature. People say, So I can just imagine how some poor Boone, the bones in this, the femur bone, the smaller ones, how he left their skin. So the guy walking in the stuff thinking that we got him. He coming to sign this because we had agreed the previous day. First thing the guy said, hey, we violated the term of the CPP. We're not supposed to make any decision. It's not somebody will say, but were you not supposed to know that? Well, like I said, camaraderie sometimes can carry you. Well, people who are law abiding will go back to their constituents and say, no, Chief, you're not supposed to do that. Look at the rule. Some people don't have anybody to consult. Joe don't have to consult anybody. Any decision he takes there, that's it. Yumble is gogged. Yeah, you can't carry that kind of rule when you have a party chairman that is a freak to follow the rule within the Liberty Party. You can't do that thing. ALP, of course, who is he going to turn to? Tilia? And talk to who? To tell her that the decision we made today. Benana is a man of himself. I don't even know why they got him in that collaboration because it's not an equal. He's not an equal. He's himself. He got nobody to go consult. That's why he's creating so much tension within the CPP. It doesn't have any collective leadership. You think ALP thinking about any convention right now? They made it simple. Hey, all of us, that's why they want Black Party. Because even to find the delegate that will come for Benin, I doubt if some of them exist. Maybe that just doesn't have any group of people that will come together on the table. You know, but we'll change this thing. We'll change. We're ready this time. You know, not just removing George Weah, but we need a country where decency and if we start exercising decency, I think we'll limit the amount of corruption, because then we'll start thinking, like I say, it's indecent to even convert national coffers to be yours. So maybe when we start following the rule gradually, one small guy, tight guy will make us follow the rule. Eventually, you appreciate, later on say, yeah, it could not. I'm pretty sure when they started this collaboration, we said, oh man, Alex is nobody. I remember somebody wrote, he's not the alpha man. He's not the alpha dog. Yeah, that was the terminology used. He's not the alpha male or the alpha dog. When we think about the collaboration, you don't see comments. I say, okay, let's wait. I think it's becoming apparent that it's an alpha dog. That's why of 4 parties, 2 express their will to run, and one of them is Alex. So if you still going to ANC is not the alpha dog, it's not an alpha dog, it's a nice way to make yourself feel good. But every competition you think about will be there. Matter of fact, the competition to even pay your dues, ANC slapping your butt. They're kicking you right now in the butt because you don't have the ability to pay your dues. So only an alpha will take the lead in everything. In anything. You're nobody right now. Right now, matter of fact, you're what we call it like bro, poo platoon. If you can't pay your dues, you're a poo platoon. Period. Thank you so much. I gotta go. Have a good